If you're over 60 and you eat dinner after 8 p.m., take your blood pressure pill in the morning, and go to bed without drinking water, your heart is unprotected during the most dangerous 6 hours of the day, and almost no one has told you why. Between midnight and 6 a.m., your blood thickens from hours without fluid. Your medication hits its lowest point. Your blood pressure, which should be dipping to let your arteries recover, may actually be rising while you sleep. And if you snore, your heart is being jolted awake dozens of times a night by a survival response you never feel. This is not a rare scenario. This is the nightly reality for millions of older Americans. And it's the reason more fatal heart attacks and strokes happen in the early morning hours than at any other time. The reassuring part, protecting your heart at night, doesn't require new medication or a hospital visit. It requires a simple evening routine most seniors have never been taught. In 30 years of practice, I've lost patients who did everything right during the day, but left their heart completely exposed at night. Today, I'll show you 7 reasons your heart is at its most vulnerable while you sleep. And reason number 1 starts at your dinner table. Here's what I'm curious about. What does your typical evening look like? Late dinner? Early bed? Water before sleep, or no? Type it below. Your routine might be the exact pattern another older American needs to rethink tonight. I'm Dr. Walter Pembrook, and what I'm about to share with you today isn't something most doctors have time to explain in a 1 5-minute appointment, because it's about what happens to your heart after you leave the office, after you turn off the lights, after you close your eyes. For 30 years, I've treated older Americans the way I treat my own family. And tonight, I want to walk you through the 7 things silently stressing your heart between midnight and 6 a.m. and give you a simple evening routine that could change everything. Let's start with the mistake most seniors make before bed without even realizing it. Reason #7, the late dinner your heart can't afford. If you eat your main meal after 8 p.m. and go to bed within 2 hours, your heart is walking into a trap it didn't ask for. Here's what happens inside your body when you eat late. The moment food hits your stomach, your digestive system demands an enormous surge of blood flow to break down fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Your heart has to pump harder. Your blood pressure rises. Your system shifts into full metabolic overdrive. During the daytime, this is manageable. Your body has backup systems running. Your sympathetic nervous system is alert. Your arteries are braced for the extra workload. But at night, those backup systems go offline. Your body is trying to enter its recovery phase, what cardiologists call the dipping period, where blood pressure drops 10 to 20% to give your arteries and heart muscle a chance to rest and repair. When you eat a heavy meal at 9 p.m., you're forcing your heart to sprint at the exact moment it's supposed to be resting. And here's the part most people never hear about. Triglycerides, fats in your blood, spike sharply 2 to 4 hours after eating. If you finish dinner at 9 p.m., your blood is at its thickest and most fat-laden around midnight. Your heart is pumping sludge through arteries that are relaxed, unbraced, and operating on minimal defensive reserves. That metabolic collision, a heart trying to rest while being forced to work, is one of the primary triggers for nighttime cardiac events. It can rupture vulnerable plaque in an already narrowed artery. It can provoke acid reflux that mimics and even triggers cardiac symptoms. And for a senior with any degree of arterial stiffness, it turns a quiet night into a medical emergency waiting to happen. One of my patients, a 73-year-old retired restaurant owner from New Jersey, ate dinner at 9:30 every night for decades. It was his routine, his ritual. When he started waking up at 2 a.m. with chest tightness and heartburn, he blamed the spices. His wife blamed the portion sizes. When we ran his overnight cardiac monitoring, his blood pressure was surging at 1 a.m. instead of dipping. His heart was doing the work of a waking day in the middle of the night. Dr. Pembrook, I've been eating late my whole life. You're telling me dinner is hurting my heart? Not dinner. The timing. What to do instead? Finish your main meal by 6 or 7 p.m. Give your heart a minimum 3-hour clearance window before you ask it to shift into sleep mode. If you must eat later, keep it light, lean protein, vegetables, nothing heavy or fried. Your heart needs the night to recover. Don't make it work a double shift. Now, if that surprised you, wait until you hear what your own medication might be doing or not doing at 3 a.m. Reason #6, your blood pressure pill clocks out before the danger starts. If you take your blood pressure medication with breakfast, and most seniors do, there's something critical happening inside your body 20 hours later that nobody has explained to you. Every drug has a peak and a trough. The peak is when it's working at full strength. The trough is when it's nearly gone, worn off, used up, barely protecting you at all. For a pill taken at 7 a.m., that trough hits somewhere around 3 to 5 a.m. the following morning. And that's the problem, because between 3 and 6 a.m. is exactly when your body launches its most aggressive cardiovascular assault of the day. Cortisol surges, adrenaline spikes, blood pressure climbs, platelets get stickier. Your heart is under maximum biological stress, and the one thing designed to protect it has already clocked out. It's like wearing a seatbelt on every road except the one with the sharpest curves. But there's a second layer to this that most seniors have never heard of. In a healthy cardiovascular system, blood pressure naturally dips by 10 to 20% during sleep. This gives your arteries a critical recovery window, a chance to rest, relax, and repair. Cardiologists call this being a dipper. Many seniors, especially those with long-term hypertension or diabetes, lose this dip entirely. They become non-dippers. Their blood pressure stays elevated all night, or worse, actually rises while they sleep. This condition, nocturnal hypertension, is far more dangerous than the daytime readings your doctor takes at 2 p.m. in a well-lit office. Research, including the hypertension in the very elderly trial, has shown that for many patients, simply moving a portion of their blood pressure medication to an evening dose can transform a non-dipper back into a dipper, restoring the nighttime recovery window that your heart and arteries desperately need. One of my patients, a 8-year-old retired high school principal from Georgia, had been taking her lisinopril at 7 a.m. for 9 years. Perfect compliance. Never missed a day. But her overnight monitoring showed her blood pressure was climbing to 158 at 4 a.m., higher than her daytime readings. When her doctor switched half her dose to the evening, her nocturnal pressure dropped back into the safe range within 2 weeks. She looked at me and said, "Dr. Pembrook, I've been taking that pill for 9 years. And for 9 years, it wasn't protecting me when I needed it most? 9 years. And nobody asked the question, what to do instead. Do not change your medication schedule on your own. But at your next appointment, ask one specific question. Based on my risk profile, would I benefit from evening dosing to prevent nocturnal hypertension?" That 2-minute conversation could be the most important medical discussion you have this year. And this brings us to something that millions of older Americans laugh about, but their hearts are not laughing at all. Reason #5. The snoring that's silently destroying your heart. They told you snoring is just annoying, something your spouse complains about, something you joke about at family gatherings, sawing logs, rattling the windows. From a cardiovascular standpoint, I treat chronic snoring as a cardiac warning sign until proven otherwise. Here's what's actually happening inside your body every time you snore. The soft tissues in the back of your throat are collapsing, partially or completely blocking your airway. When the blockage is severe enough, you stop breathing completely for 10 seconds, sometimes 30, sometimes over a minute. This is obstructive sleep apnea, and it can happen dozens, sometimes hundreds of times in a single night. Every time your breathing stops, your blood oxygen crashes. Your brain, sensing a life-threatening emergency, fires a massive survival jolt. Adrenaline floods your system. Cortisol spikes. Your heart rate and blood pressure explode upward to force you to take a breath. You may not fully wake up, but your heart does. Every single time. Imagine someone walking into your bedroom and slamming the door every 10 minutes while you sleep. That's the level of stress your heart is absorbing night after night after night, and you never know it's happening. The damage is not subtle. Research has shown that untreated sleep apnea triples the risk of a major heart attack. The constant pressure surges cause the walls of your heart to thicken and the chambers to stretch. This structural damage is a primary driver of atrial fibrillation, an irregular heart rhythm that dramatically increases your risk of stroke. But here's the cruelest part: because you're asleep during every crisis, you have to look for the daytime echoes. Morning headaches that come from carbon dioxide buildup overnight. Waking up exhausted after 8 full hours of sleep because your heart and brain ran a marathon in the dark. Frequent nighttime urination. Your stressed heart releases a hormone that sends you to the bathroom. Severe dry mouth every morning, a sign your airway has been struggling all night. One of my patients, a 76-year-old retired truck driver from Tennessee, came to me with atrial fibrillation that seemed to come out of nowhere. No family history, no obvious cause. His wife mentioned almost as an afterthought that he'd been snoring like a freight train for 20 years. A sleep study revealed he was stopping breathing 74 times per night. His heart had been absorbing 74 emergency jolts every single night for 2 decades. "Dr. Pembrook, my wife's been telling me to do something about the snoring for years. I thought she was just being dramatic." She wasn't. His heart was begging for the same thing. What to do instead? If you snore regularly and experience any of those daytime symptoms, A sleep study is not optional, it's a critical part of your cardiac care. A CPAP device, while not glamorous, reduces blood pressure, lowers AFib risk, and gives your heart the oxygenated rest it's been craving for years. In the meantime, one simple change can make an immediate difference: sleep on your side instead of your back. This alone significantly reduces airway collapse. Snoring is not a personality trait. It's a distress signal from your heart. Start treating it like one. Now, I want to stop here and ask you something that matters. We've talked about late dinners forcing your heart to work overtime, medication that clocks out before the danger starts, and snoring that's slamming your heart with emergency jolts you never feel. Three things happening while you sleep, and most people have never connected any of them to their heart. Which one hit you the hardest? Which one made you think, that's me? Type it in the comments, because the next four reasons go even deeper, and they start with something sitting on your nightstand right now. Here's where things get strange, because this next reason isn't about what you do before bed. It's about what you don't do. Reason #4, the glass of water you skipped could cost you everything. Most seniors over 60 stop drinking fluids by 7 or 8 inches the evening. The logic makes perfect sense. Nobody wants to get up 3 times a night to use the bathroom. Fewer bathroom trips mean better sleep. Better sleep means better health. Except your heart disagrees. Here's what happens inside your body during 8 hours without a single drop of fluid. You keep losing water through breathing, through light sweating, through every biological process that doesn't pause just because you're asleep. By 3 or 4 a.m., the liquid portion of your blood has decreased significantly. What's left is thicker, stickier, slower. Doctors call this hemoconcentration. Think of the difference between pouring water through a straw versus pouring honey. Your heart has to work significantly harder to push that thickened blood through arteries that may already be narrowed by decades of plaque buildup. But the danger goes beyond extra workload. During sleep, your heart rate naturally drops to its daily minimum, a state called nocturnal bradycardia. This is normal. But now combine the factors: thick blood, slow pump, hours of lying still, narrowed arteries. You've created a stagnant environment inside your cardiovascular system. Blood that isn't moving fast enough through tight spaces is blood that's far more likely to form a clot. And a clot that forms at 4 a.m. when your morning adrenaline surge is about to spike, your blood pressure is a clot that can kill. This is one of the primary reasons ischemic strokes and heart attacks cluster in the early morning hours. Not bad luck, not genetics. Dehydration meeting, gravity meeting, biology at the worst possible time. One of my patients, a 8-year-old retired schoolteacher from Maryland, had stopped drinking anything after 6 p.m. for nearly a decade. She was proud of sleeping through the night without a single bathroom trip. When she had a minor stroke at 4:30 a.m., her blood work showed severe hemoconcentration. Her blood was so thick that the ER team flagged it before anything else. Dr. Pembrook, I thought not drinking water at night was the healthy thing to do. Everyone says sleep is more important. Sleep is important, but your heart can't rest if it's pumping syrup. What to do instead? Drink 1 full glass of water, about 8 ounces, shortly before bed. Not a bottle, not 3 glasses, just 1. This single habit keeps your blood volume stable through the night and gives your heart the lubrication it needs to pump efficiently during the slowest, most vulnerable hours. Keep a second glass on your nightstand. If you wake up thirsty at 2 a.m., your body is telling you something your heart already knows: it needs fluid. Don't ignore it. 1 glass. That's the difference between blood that flows and blood that clots. Which leads me to something even more important, because this next reason is the one hiding in plain sight every single night. Reason #3. Your bedroom temperature is stressing your heart without you knowing. Most people set their thermostat based on comfort. Too warm? Turn it down. Too cold? Turn it up. Whatever feels right. But your heart doesn't care about comfort. It cares about a very specific number. And if your bedroom is outside that range every night, your cardiovascular system is paying a price you can't feel. Here's the science. Your heart has a thermal neutral zone, a temperature range where it can maintain its lowest, most restful heart rate without any extra work. That range is 65 degrees Fahrenheit to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly 18 degrees to 22 degrees Celsius. Above 72 degrees Fahrenheit, your body has to work to dissipate heat. Your heart rate stays elevated. Your blood vessels dilate to push warm blood toward the skin. Instead of resting, your heart is running a cooling system all night long, burning energy it should be using for repair and recovery. Below 65 degrees Fahrenheit, the opposite happens, and it's arguably worse. Your body senses cold and triggers vasoconstriction. Your blood vessels tighten. Your blood pressure spikes. Your heart has to pump against narrower, stiffer pipes just to maintain circulation. For a senior with any degree of arterial stiffness or plaque buildup, this is like asking a tired engine to push fuel through a clogged line in freezing weather. And here's what most people miss. These temperature-driven changes happen all night long without ever waking you up. You sleep right through them. But your heart doesn't. It absorbs every degree of stress, every hour, until the alarm goes off. One of my patients, a 71-year-old retired postal worker from Minnesota, kept his bedroom at 60 degrees Fahrenheit all winter. He'd done it his whole life. Saved on heating, slept under heavy blankets. Felt fine. When his overnight blood pressure monitoring came back, his readings were spiking to 165 systolic between 2 and 5 a.m., dangerously high for a man on 2 blood pressure medications. We couldn't figure out why his pills weren't working at night. Then I asked about his bedroom temperature. We raised it to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Within 10 days, his overnight pressure dropped 18 points. Same medications, same dose, same man, different thermostat. Dr. Pembrook, you're telling me my thermostat was fighting my medication? Every single night. For years, what to do instead? Set your bedroom to 68 degrees Fahrenheit before you go to sleep. If you run warm, 65 degrees Fahrenheit is your floor, don't go below it. If you run cold, 72 degrees Fahrenheit is your ceiling, don't go above it. Use layers and breathable blankets to fine-tune your comfort within that range rather than adjusting the thermostat outside of it. Your heart doesn't need luxury, it needs the right temperature. Give it the zone where it can actually rest, and stop making it fight the thermostat while it's supposed to be recovering. Now, the next one is harder to talk about because it's not about temperature or medication or water. It's about what happens to your heart when the house goes quiet and the worrying begins. Reason #2, the anxiety that follows you to bed. You turn off the lights. You pull up the covers. The house is silent. And then it starts. Did I take my pill? What if something happens tonight? What was that chest twinge after dinner? What if I don't wake up? What if my kids get the call? During the day, you stay busy. You distract yourself. You push through. But at night, lying still in the dark with nothing between you and your thoughts, the worry finds you. And your heart feels every second of it. Here's what chronic nighttime anxiety does to your cardiovascular system. When your brain enters a state of worry, it triggers a low-grade but persistent release of cortisol and adrenaline. These stress hormones raise your heart rate. They tighten your blood vessels. They elevate your blood pressure. And they do it at the exact time your heart is supposed to be in its deepest recovery phase. Remember the dipping period we talked about, the 10 to 20% drop in blood pressure that gives your arteries time to heal? Nighttime anxiety erases it. Your body stays in fight or flight mode while your brain is begging for sleep. Your heart never gets its rest. Your arteries never get their repair window, and night after night, the damage accumulates. But here's the part that breaks my heart as a doctor. The seniors who carry the heaviest nighttime anxiety are often the ones who would never say a word about it. They don't want to be a burden. They don't want to seem weak. They lie there in silence, carrying a weight that's physically destroying their cardiovascular system, and they think it's just part of getting older. It's not. It's a medical problem with a medical solution. One of my patients, an 80-year-old widow from South Carolina, had been sleeping alone for 4 years after losing her husband. Her blood pressure was well controlled during the day, but her overnight readings told a completely different story, surging past 150 every single night between 1 and 4 a.m. When I finally asked her what she thought about when the lights went off, she was quiet for a very long time. Dr. Pembrook, I'm afraid of dying the way he did. Alone, in the dark, with nobody there. Her heart wasn't failing because of sodium or medication timing. It was failing because of fear she'd never spoken out loud. What to do instead? This isn't about thinking positive or meditating your way to lower blood pressure. It's about giving your nervous system permission to stand down before bed. Start a screen-free wind down at 9 p.m. No news, no phone, no scrolling. Try slow, deep breathing for 5 minutes before sleep. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 6. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system and physically lowers your heart rate. And if the fear runs deeper, if it's grief, loneliness, or a dread you can't shake, talk to your doctor. Not just about your heart, about what's keeping it awake. Because your heart can't rest in a body that's afraid. The most dangerous thing in your bedroom at night might not be your blood pressure or your thermostat. It might be the silence. And now we come to the most important reason of all, the one that ties everything together. The one that turns all 6 dangers we've discussed into a single, devastating moment. Reason Hasson, the 4 a.m. perfect storm your heart can't survive alone. You've heard me talk about each risk individually. Late dinners, medication troughs, sleep apnea, dehydration, temperature, anxiety. Each one is dangerous on its own. But here's what I need you to understand. They don't happen one at a time. They happen all at once. And they converge at exactly the same moment every single night. Between 3 and 6 a.m., your body triggers what cardiologists call the morning cardiovascular surge. Your adrenal glands flood your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline stress hormones designed to pull you out of sleep and prepare you for the day. Your blood pressure spikes. Your heart rate jumps. Your platelets, the tiny cells responsible for clotting, become significantly stickier. In a younger body, this surge is smooth, controlled. Your arteries flex. Your nervous system adjusts. You wake up and never notice a thing. But in a body over 60, a body that has spent the entire night under siege, this surge doesn't land on a rested heart. It lands on a heart that's already exhausted. Picture this. It's 4 a.m. Your blood is thick because you stopped drinking water 8 hours ago. Your medication taken with breakfast yesterday is at its weakest point. Your blood pressure never dipped overnight because anxiety kept your stress hormones elevated. Your bedroom was 62 degrees Fahrenheit, so your blood vessels have been constricted for hours. And if you have sleep apnea, your heart has absorbed 50, 60, maybe 70 emergency adrenaline jolts since midnight. Now into that exhausted, dehydrated, unmedicated, stressed, constricted system, your body dumps its biggest hormonal surge of the day. That is the perfect storm. And it's happening inside your chest right now, every single night, without a sound. This is why more heart attacks happen between 3 and 6 a.m. than at any other time. Not because hearts are weak, because they've been abandoned, left to fight 6 battles at once, with no backup, no protection, and no one awake to notice if something goes wrong. The research is clear. Studies published in the journal Circulation have documented this early morning clustering of cardiac events for decades. The European Heart Journal has shown that the medication trough during this window is a primary driver. The American Heart Association has linked nocturnal hypertension to dramatically higher stroke and heart attack risk. And sleep apnea research shows that untreated patients face triple the risk of a major cardiac event. Every study points to the same window. Every study points to the same conclusion. The night is not safe, and your heart has been trying to tell you. One of my patients, a 74-year-old retired firefighter from Ohio, did everything right during the day, exercised 3 times a week, took his medication without fail, watched his diet. His daytime blood pressure was textbook perfect, but he ate dinner at 9 p.m., took his pill at 7 a.m., kept his bedroom at 62 degrees Fahrenheit, drank nothing after 6 p.m. And his wife had mentioned his snoring for years, but he never followed up. At 4:12 on a Thursday morning, he had a massive heart attack. He survived barely. His wife called the ambulance in time. But when he sat in my office 6 weeks later, the question he asked me is the same one I want every older American to hear. Doctor, Pembrook, I did everything right. How did my heart still almost give up on me? Because he protected his heart for 18 hours a day and left it completely alone for the other 6. What to do instead? Tonight, before you go to bed, run through this checklist. Did you finish dinner by 7 p.m.? Did you drink 1 glass of water before lying down? Is your bedroom set to 68 degrees Fahrenheit? Have you asked your doctor about evening medication dosing? Have you addressed your snoring? Have you given your mind 30 minutes to wind down before closing your eyes? 6 questions, 6 fixes. Each one closes a gap in the armor your heart wears between midnight and 6 a.m. You can't stop the morning surge. It's hardwired into your biology. But you can stop sending your heart into that surge, dehydrated, unmedicated, overheated, oxygen-deprived, and afraid. Your heart doesn't fail at 4 a.m. because it's old. It fails because it was set up to fail by an evening routine that nobody ever taught you to fix. Tonight is the night you fix it. So let's go back to where we started. I told you that if you eat dinner after 8, take your pill in the morning, and skip water before bed, your heart is unprotected during the most dangerous 6 hours of the day. And now you know exactly why. A late dinner forces your heart to sprint when it should be resting. Your morning medication clocks out hours before the danger begins. Snoring hammers your heart with emergency jolts you never feel. Dehydration turns your blood into sludge by 3 a.m. The wrong bedroom temperature fights your medication all night long. Anxiety erases the recovery window your arteries need to heal. And at 4 a.m., every single one of these risks collides into a perfect storm. Your heart happened all at once, was never designed to face alone. 7 reasons, all happening in the dark, all happening in silence. And until today, chances are nobody had ever connected them for you. That's not your fault. Your doctor checks your blood pressure at 2 p.m. in a bright office with your feet on the floor and your sleeves rolled up. Nobody checks what's happening at 3 a.m. When your blood is thick, your pills have worn off, and your heart is fighting battles you'll never see. But now you know. And knowing changes everything. Let me tell you what I've seen in my own practice. Patients in their 70s and 80s who start this evening protocol dinner by 7, 1 glass of water, thermostat at 68, side sleeping, a conversation with their doctor about medication timing, and 30 minutes of quiet before bed, they don't just sleep better. They wake up differently, clearer, steadier, more rested than they've felt in years. Not because of a new drug, not because of surgery, because they finally stopped abandoning their heart at night. You have protected the people you love your entire life. You raised families, you showed up for work when it was hard, you carried weight that nobody else saw. You earned every single night of rest that lies ahead of you. Now it's time to protect the one thing that's been protecting you since the day you were born, your heart. Not with fear, not with perfection, just with a simple routine that takes less than 10 minutes and covers the 6 hours nobody else is watching. Your heart has never taken a night off. Tonight, make sure it doesn't have to fight alone. If this video changed the way you think about your evenings, do one thing for me tonight. Send it to someone who needs it. A spouse who snores, a parent who eats late, a neighbor who lives alone, a friend who's been waking up exhausted for years without knowing why. Because the person who needs this most might be lying in bed right now with a heart that's fighting 6 battles at once, and nobody has ever told them how to help. Leave a comment below with the word tonight so I know you're starting the evening protocol before you go to sleep. That one word might be the reason someone scrolling past this video decides to watch it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Dr. Walter Pembrook and tap that notification bell. Every week, I share the health truths older Americans deserve: no jargon, no fear, just honest answers from a doctor who treats you like family. I'm Dr. Walter Pembrook. Protect your heart tonight. It's been protecting you your whole life. I'll see you in the next one.